If you're building your ABA company and you're tired of guessing, this is for you. We built the BCBA blueprint to give you real structure, systems, and support without the fluff. Details are in the description. Welcome everyone once again. We always love when you guys participate in these live streams. It's always better when we have people here, and it's better for you guys too, because you can really interact with experts like Jing that are so zoomed in on their area and they know it so well. When you talk about absolute mastery of an area, and that's where Jing is. She spent so much time and she's gone down this road so many times and so many different variations. It's really great to have somebody with all the knowledge and experience that she has that's willing to just come on and share with us. So that's a great value for you guys. And you get even more value when you're able to talk to her directly live like this. So number one, thank you all, the attendees, for attending, giving us a reason to do this. And also thank you, Jing, for being here. So I've been looking forward to this live stream. This is what I am obsessed with personally, is that business operating system. And this is the third and final in this series. I'm sure this is not going to be Jing's last live stream with us, but in this series, building your business so that you are ready for exit. And why is it important that we're ready for exit? Because things happen that you're not expecting. So always being in a position that you, and keeping your company maintained and operated in a way that everybody wants it. And if you don't want it, nobody else is going to either. So building your business and your systems in a way that you love it and you actually enjoy running it, and that you're meeting your goals and achieving your objectives personally and business-wise, because that's really what's going to give your business value when you're not in the center of it and it runs on its own, but you can show your love to the world through your company. And if you ever want to sell it, or if you ever have to sell it, like I said, things happen that we're not always prepared for. We don't always see them coming. So being in a position where you can exit your company at any time and get the full value out of it is extremely important. So today, Jing is going to talk about business operating systems, those systems in your business that need to cover everything in your business and run without you. So Jing, welcome. Take it away, my dear.
Thank you, Derek, for the introduction. I love how you summarize what we're going to be talking about. And for business owners, I appreciate that and appreciate you having me here. And welcome, everyone. And hi, everyone. And some of you might have been in my first and second webinar. This might be your first one. And today we're going to talk about a business operating system. And just a little bit of recap of our three-part series. So this is our last one. So we talked about how you can use exit planning as a business strategy as you grow your business, and also what made up the majority of your business value. And today we're going to talk about more of the value acceleration by using a business operating system. So we have three objectives today: is to learn what is a business operating system. Some of you might have heard of the word and phrase business operating system, BOS. Some of you might not have heard of it. So we'll dive down into what is it and why do you need one as you grow your business, and what are the main components of a business operating system, so you can customize and build one for your own business on your own, or you can build one with a coach like me. So if you need help to do that. So let's get started. All right. Last webinar, we talked about the 4 intangible capitals that make up the majority of your business valuation. It's the human capital, structural capital, customer, and social capital. So today we'll talk about how do we enhance those 4 intangible capitals we call 4 C's. How do we make those stronger so we can accelerate our business value that not only make your day-to-day job easier as a business owner when you strengthen those 4 intangible capitals, and it also increases the valuation down the road. So when the time is right for you to exit. So to make your job easier, to get you more profit and income, and fulfill your mission of making a difference in the lives of the people that you serve. And the other side, it increases your valuation. And speaking of valuation, I want to share a little bit about the 5 stages of value maturity. So the first stage is identify. It's like behavior assessment before you work with a child. So you do assessment first, identify the strengths and weaknesses of this client to develop a treatment plan, and then execute and implement your treatment plan. So the first stage of the value maturity is to identify what is your current value and what is your business readiness or attractiveness, the strengths and weaknesses of your business. And then the second stage is protect. We got to protect what we have first, right? Before we build. So this we usually call the de-risking stage. So the protect, look at what are the areas that make your business vulnerable, such as payer concentration. So a significant part of your revenue relies on 1 or 2 payers. And what are some other vulnerabilities? So like regulation and compliance. So in your human resource management, we got to de-risk those because higher risk means low valuation. And then third stage is to build. So now we get to build our value. So as you grow your business. And then the fourth stage is harvest the value. It's a value extraction. So you identify, build your value, and then value extraction. So that's where you're actually selling your business. So the fifth stage is manage. So you manage the value that you have extracted from your business. So in terms of tax planning, investment, and all of that stuff, which most financial advisors would be the right people to do that and have the expertise to guide you. So today we're going to be focusing on the value building, so the acceleration. And in last webinar, I shared this slide. As you grow your business, you're going to be bringing more people into your team. More people means more complexity. So if you add your employees from 3 people to 6 people, it doesn't just double the complexity. So it actually multiplies by 5. All these lines represent the connections, interactions with different people, different perspectives, what they're doing, how they do things. So that just makes it significantly more complicated and complex, your business. And if you grow from 3 employees to 14 employees, look at here, there are 91 lines. So it looks like a ball of chaos there, right? So the more people you bring onto your business without a good system, you are going to have more chaos, miscommunication. People are doing things in a different way. So that means as a business owner, you're going to be spending more and more time and working in your business because there are endless problems for you to solve, lots of people to manage, and that will stall your growth of the business. And then you're going to feel stuck at some point. So trust me, I've been there myself. So grew our business pretty quickly to about 40 employees. So that's where all plates were flying in the air. And it felt like, how do we get to the next level unless we have some ways of organizing our business and structure our business so we're ready to move to the next level. Otherwise, we could not. We are just stuck there. So that brings into the business operating system. So what is a business operating system? So it is the way an organization functions. So it's a collection of processes. So everything we do in a way is a system. Not having a system is a system. So if you have a $1 million business, you have a system that gets you $1 million business. If you want to get to the $5 million, you need to upgrade your system to get you to $5 million. So if you want to get to a $10 million revenue, your business operating system needs to get you upgraded to get you that $10 million revenue. So you can continue to grow your business. So literally the sky is the limit, how far you can go. So in terms of your business growth, and the business operating system is like our computer, right? So if we need our computer to handle more tasks and more functions and more things, so we need to upgrade the operating system so it doesn't crash. Or a business is the same way. So we need to have really good system to get us from here to there. So to the top of our mountain to fulfill our mission of why we started this business in the first place. So to serve more clients and to deliver good quality services, as well as make your business attractive and build value. So in one day, whatever the circumstance is, so that you need to sell your business and it's always ready. So in a business that doesn't have good, smooth system, so they're going to have a lot of problems. So no one is on the same page. So employees are all rowing in different directions and the same problems keep coming up. So as the owner is like, oh my gosh, why are we having the same problems? So over and over, they keep popping up. And then there is a lot of inefficiency and chaos everywhere and accountability probably nowhere, right? So no one is accountable for anything because everyone is doing everything. And without a operating system or a smooth business operating system, so your organization is sure to be dealing with miscommunication, so individual agenda and team conflicts, so that derails the success of your company. And as a result, so your owner, as I said, will be working long hours. So it's just not enough time in the day and to get things done. And you're going to have lots of frustration in your team and it'll waste time and energy and lost your best employees. So best employees stuck in a bad system, and either they're going to turn into a bad employee or they're not going to be happy. So they're going to go somewhere else. And as a result, you will have lower financial returns. For businesses that run on a good, smooth, dependable operating system, and they usually would run on its own. So to make your business independent of the owner is one of the most important things. So for you to enhance the value of your business, a smooth operating system will get everyone in the company on the same page with the same vision, sharing the same values and working towards the same goals. Imagine your whole team, everyone knows where you're going, sharing that vision and excited about where you are going and working towards that goal and together with collaboration and with effort and with skills. So what would that look like, right? In a good operating system, the expectations and processes and accountability, they're defined so that everyone is in sync and work together like a well-oiled machine. As a business owner, that is your dream. And I've talked to so many business owners, yet to come across one that says, this is not what I want, right? Everyone wants to one day, not a significant part of the day-to-day operation so that the business would run on its own. So as an owner, that I have some balance in my life. So between life and business, and I get to do some other things so that I'm equally passionate about. So that really is the dream of every business owner when I ask them what you want. So there are some additional benefits of a business operating system, or a good one. So it's align your team, attract your top talent, so A players, and to clearly define the rules and the results ownership in your business. Who owns what results? Let's get it clear and hold people accountable. And then you're also building playbooks. So in your business, have clear processes, how work gets done. And then you are also going to be strengthening your clinical quality to fulfill the mission so that you set out to do in the first place in a good, smooth business operating system. So you will track and enhance performance. So you collect data. Just like our ABA services, without data, we don't know if our clients are progressing, right? We don't know what decisions we need to make clinically, what changes, adjustments we need to make in their treatment plan. Your business is the same. So if we don't have visibility, we don't have data about our business results and about the performance of our team, and we don't know what we need to do. It's like flying blind. So it's a hit and miss process. A good system will have data dashboards or scorecards and metrics and KPIs so to enhance the performance. And a good system will help you increase profit and value and take your business to the next level, which I had personal experience of implementing a system in my previous two businesses. So that really helped us from transforming from an owner-dependent business to a value-creating business so that the business is running by itself, managing and by really high quality skilled team members so that are A players. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about business operating system. So there are, I think where it started probably was more from Michael Gerber's The E-Myth book. Many business owners have read the books, read pretty much all of these books. So there are some of the popular systems. So the Scaling Up by Vern Harnish, The Great Games of Business by Jack Stack that talks about open book management, traction from EOS, the disciplines of execution from Sean Covey. So if you look at these systems and there are some comparisons, that means they're really good at certain things. And gray is they're good. So dark circles are better. And if you look at all of them, not one of them is really best at everything. They all have strengths and weaknesses, and many of those are fairly rigid system. As an entrepreneur and leadership team, what do you want? So I asked a business owner, of course, they said, we want all of them. So why do we have to choose one and to be pigeonholed into that specific system? But there are some other things we want. So that's where the Pinnacle Business Guide step in to be a little different from the other business operating system, which I'm a certified Pinnacle Business Guide. And Pinnacle Business Guide focuses on the coach, a good coach and a guide who is knowledgeable and can bring you the right tools at the right time and can customize the system for you to get you what you need to climb to the top of your mountain. And we'll look at it a little bit different. So how is Pinnacle Business Guides different from the other business operating systems? It packs the best business tools curated from many top thought leaders like Jim Collins, Vern Harnish, Jack Stack, and Michael Gerber. So we have 72, maybe 80 some different business tools for businesses at different stages and for different needs. And the guides can bring in the right tools at the right time and to help the business and their team climb to the top of their mountain and creating a system that make the business run without the owner. And Pinnacle Business Guides, our model is customizable. It's not a cookie cutter that one size fits all, because not any two businesses are the same, even in the same industry. Every one of them is different. I coach many businesses, not two of them are exactly the same. So they're all very different. And your system needs to be somewhat tailored towards you. And it is scalable for Pinnacle Business Guide. It's not just an 18-month journey in many of the other business operating systems. So it's more of an 18 months and you're done. So in Pinnacle Business Guide, we're able to grow with your business at various stages. So for a long time and to support you. So let's look at the component of a business operating system. Generally, the key components of a business operating system would include like clear vision and the people and their roles, so clarity, and clearly defined processes and execution of the goals. So there's a way of executing your strategic plan and meeting goals, so short-term goals and long-term goals. And there's just way to execute on those. And performance tracking, so with a focus on continuous improvement. And for here, this is like putting together 6 main components of the business system. So for a business, so this is the people, we address the roles and clarity and results for people and alignment of the purpose and vision and core values, performance tracking, how things are going and making database decisions and playbooks is your process, and Paragon is a model of excellence. So how do you provide top quality clinical services, and how do you provide clinical oversight? How do you provide training and staff development? How do you make sure that your clients are progressing and measuring their progress, and quality assurance, and how you make sure you are complying with various funders, peers, regulation. So that's all part of this Paragon model of excellence. And then in the middle, so as a result of those, so that should help you increase value, increase profit. And of course, another big piece of the system is the financial management. And you do need to understand the basic finance and really understand your numbers and proactively manage your numbers. So that way you can have a sustainable profit to continue to serve your mission. And mission and margin both are important. So profit is not a dirty word in our field. A lot of times people avoid using the word profit, and that just seems to be the evil word. But as a business, profit is the oxygen to your business. Without profit, we cannot deliver good quality services. Without profit, we cannot pay our employees at a higher or adequate wage. Without profit, we cannot offer good benefits, retirement plans to our employees. So without profit, we can't have nice facilities to your clinics so that could address the needs of your clients. So that all comes from profit. So just something to keep in mind. But it's not the purpose of our business. Just like food and water, no one lives for food and water, but it's essential to our survival. Most of the founders and owners started their business is to really fulfill a mission, right? So profit is not the purpose of these business when you started, but it is essential for your survival. Let's break them down a little bit to look at each of those components separately. So first, who? And I share a quote here from Jim Collins. He says, reflecting on more quarter century of rigorous research into what makes great companies tick, come to see first who as the one principle above all others that you must not get wrong. I don't know how many people have read the book Good to Great by Jim Collins. Through his research, that looked at 40 some companies, how they transform from good company to great companies. What do they share in common? He introduced the concept of right people in the right seat. So get the right people on your bus, get the wrong people off your bus, and then get the right people in the right seats on your bus. Imagine your business is like a bus going somewhere, right? So this is essential to get it right. That is one of the most important decisions business owners and their leadership team make is about their people as the people decision. And especially in a business, we're made up of people. We're in the people business and we don't deal with any merchandise or products. So everything we do is evolving around people. So getting that right is essential. And great companies absolutely get this right. So they attract highly productive people who align with their culture. And your biggest expense is your payroll. Payroll is the biggest expense for ABA businesses. That takes about 60 to 70% of your revenue. And get this right is essential. So they either break you or make you. And that's what I always say when people ask me in your business journey, what you like the most or dislike the most. I said, what I love the most is about people when you have the right people seeing their growth and working together as a team. And also the most challenging part of the business is also people. And when you don't have the right people, that really derails you, distracts you, and make things very difficult. And when you have the right people on your team, that energizes you to go to work every day. When you don't have the right people, you feel like you just want to bang your head. So on a low some days and thinking about why did I start this business in the first place, right? And a big part of the problem, so that I talk to clients, really stem from the wrong people. So how do we get that right? So in the people component, so we focus on building a culture that your top A players and have the right structure of people who owns what function. And also another important part is to coach people and help them grow. If you're going to grow your business, you have to grow your people. You have to grow as a leader, as an owner, and you have to grow your leadership team, and you have to grow your people on your team. That is to strengthen our human capital, one of the 4 C's. I'm going to share a tool here, and it's the talent assessment tool. This is one of the Pinnacle tool so that we have is a very simple visual display of looking at your team and who are our A players, who are our B players, or C players and BC players. So I'm going to explain that a little bit. So if you want to use it, and you're welcome to use that in your own business. So to analyze your team makeup, if we want to get to the next level, do we have the right team to get us to the next level? Remember, business is a team sport. It's not a solo sport. So on this talent assessment tool, and we have the cultural fit on the y-axis and the productivity fit on the x-axis. So the cultural fit means, does this person share your core values? We need to have our core values in the first place, right? What are your core values? Do we have that clearly identified, outlined, and everyone understood them? And does this person share our core values? So we enjoy having this person on our team. So this is your core value fit. Productivity fit would be how well this person does his or her job. Do you have to stay on top of this person on deadlines or provide quality work? So anyone who scores 8 and above on both axes, so they are your A players, we call them A players. And anyone who are 6 and above, they're A potential. So they're not quite there yet, but they have potential to become A players. And we also call these people your climbers. So they're the ones who are going to do the hard work, carry their bags, and do the hard work to climb to the top of your mountain. And then let's look at the B players. So these are the people who share your core values. They're super nice. People enjoy having them around. So they are helpful. However, they don't work very hard. They're not very productive. So they're the ones you have to stay constantly on top of them. So to make sure that they do what they're supposed to do. So they probably just do the minimum to get by and not get fired. And they're our B players. Essentially, if they don't improve to become an A player, they're going to be the time suckers. So they're going to take up a lot of your time for people to stay on top of them. So I'm sure you have employees that are great clinicians, great BCBAs, and good behavior technicians, but you're constantly staying on top of them in getting their session notes done correctly and consistently show up to work and not always canceling. So I'm sure you have those. And then you have the BC players. These are the people that are very productive. They have good skills. They can get a lot of things done. However, they don't play very well with the others in the sandbox. And those employees are usually very toxic. And they're only happy in their own little bubbles when they get their own way. So they're not good team players. And they may be gossiping, they may be negative and always complaining. And they're like chicken bombs sometimes. Because of their productivity, they can get the work done. So the leadership team tiptoes around them. We can't lose this person because she does so many things, but we don't want to upset this person either. I'm sure you have those. And then the C players are the ones that are low on both ends. They're not a good cultural fit and they're not very productive either. So they are your C players. No organizations should have C players because they are damage to your organization as we speak if you have them. And as leaders in your business, your role is to coach people up to this upper right hand corner and to coach people up to become A players. So everyone needs to have a growth plan. And for your A potential to continue to grow, or if you're B players or maybe C players, so if you feel like they're coachable to grow to become A players, so they either have a growth plan to make progress on, or they should have an exit plan. If they're not making the effort and not budging, so then you shouldn't have them on your team. The danger of keeping the B players and C players on your team, the greatest danger is that they are dragging your A players and A potentials down. So your A players don't like to work with other B players, C players that are not contributing. They want to work with A players. So in an environment, everyone is doing their best and rowing in the same direction. So if you tolerate other performance, your A players going to look at them. How come they're still here and slacking off and not doing their job? Why am I working so hard? So they're going to move backwards towards those players. So that is the greatest danger of tolerating or keeping those other B players and BC players if they're not growing and moving towards the box over here. Here's a kind of an illustration of these. So we call these climbers, the A potentials. And then the B players, we call them campers. And they're happy to sit around, maybe chat over dinner, but don't expect them to do the hard work, to do the cooking or clean up afterwards. And then you have the cranks, or the BC players. They have the skills, but they don't play well with the rest. And the cavemen are the C players, so they just need to find a different cave, so not on your team. So the next component of your business operating system, so is the purpose alignment. So you need to have clear vision. Where is your business going? Because when you're hiring employees to get on the bus with you, you're essentially saying, come take a trip with me. But if you're not clear and not sharing with them where your bus is going, you would have wrong people getting on the bus, because once you start going, whoever's on your bus, team players might realize, well, wait a minute, this is not where I want to go. Just like your bus might be going to the beach, and then your team player might realize, that's not where I want to go. So let me get off the bus. That is like vision, lack of vision clarity. So as an owner and team, you have to be crystal clear. Where do you want to go? And what is your long-term vision in 10 years? What are we set out to do here? And get people excited about that. And you want to invite team members that are excited about where you want to go and share that vision. And then strategy is to define, how are we going to get there, right? So here's the top of our mountain. How do we get here from the bottom to the top? And we need a map. What tools do we need? So what route do we need to go? So it's the same way your business and alignment, that everyone understand that where we're going, how are we going to get there, and what tools we need. So is that the alignment to get there, so that people are not fighting on the way. So someone says, we got to go this way. Someone says, oh, no, we're wrong. That alignment is super, super important. And here is another example of a tool. So to get team on the same page, to create that alignment. So we call it strategic vision and execution plan. People usually, once they started their business, they never look back at their business plan. If they have a business plan to begin with, they never look at that. We want something that is a working document that aligns your team and guides your team together. So this is a very simple tool, and that aligns your team to clarify, why are we here, and your purpose and your pinnacle, where are we going? So in 10 years, and milestones. So before we get to the top of our mountain, and what is our core business? That way we don't get distracted by shiny objects on the way. And, oh, we can serve these people, we can do this, we can do that. Then we lost focus. And what is important to us in our business, like our core values, that everyone needs to share those. Core values are not like good to have, they're must have. So everyone must share those core values. You use your core values to make hiring decisions, to make decisions in rewarding your employees for core value aligned behaviors, and to make hard decisions in terms of discipline and termination. So based on your core values. And then we also, based on our long-term vision and midterm goals, so to develop our annual growth plan. So where do we need to go every year so we can get to the top of our mountain? So you have your annual goals, and then we execute them every 90 days. Then we have rocks every 90 days to execute on our annual growth plan. And then you have measurement. So how do you measure your progress, like your revenue and your key metrics and your strategy? And what is your strategy? What's your brand promise and brand promise KPIs? Keep your promise indicators. That's where it stands for here. And this is like a simple tool to bring those together. And then it's constantly being updated so that leadership team is all aligned, and then that's communicated and trickled down to the rest of your organization. So everyone is rowing in the same direction. The next component, so remember that circle you saw earlier, is about playbooks. Playbooks is all about processes, how work gets done. In many small businesses, that's very common, not just in A. And people are just so busy. Everything is stored in the owner's head or the key individual's head. It's like a tribal knowledge. So we ask people, how did you learn what you do? Susie just told me about that before she left. And then Mary told me about this. So everything is passed down like through word of mouth. So from one employee to the other, nothing is documented, nothing is written down. And that process change from person to person. So for your business to be successful, you have to identify what are the core processes in the business and how do we document them? And that's being ingrained in your daily operations of the business. And you continue to optimize them to make the process efficient, as well as identify owners of the process. Who owns this process to make sure every step was done? Having playbooks builds your intellectual property that strengthens your structural capital. Remember the 4 C's. The second one is the structural capital, that you have your intellectual property documented. I use an example of, imagine a restaurant that there is amazing chef that cooks the best meals and you attract lots of customers coming. But the chef did not document the recipe and the chef leaves. Nobody can cook the same meals again. You cannot reproduce the same things and your customers don't come back anymore. Not having consistent processes that could create dissatisfaction in your customer as well as your employees because they have various experience with your business. They don't have a consistent, the best experience with your business. It's really depend on who they talk to, right? And that's where chaos occurs and same mistakes happen over and over. When you have problems, usually we will think about, is this a people issue or is this a process issue? If it's a process issue, let's fix the process and clarify. If it's a people issue, then we have to do some coaching and training. So with the people and go from there. And you can, here's an example of clinical department orientation. And this is a process that you are going to use multiple times in your business as you continue to hire new BCBAs or RBTs, and that you go through the orientation. And this is just the first page of the example tool that I have. When people are being hired and onboarded, we want to make sure the BCBAs are having the same experience, the same training was provided, the same content, so it was shared with them. So we don't have a situation, then the BCBA onboarded, you talk to them, they say, oh, nobody ever told me this. So somebody else said, oh, I didn't get this part. And you want to ensure that consistency. So then we use a checklist and also for accountability. So who completed this? What part was completed? And to ensure that consistency in the end. So this get filed in their HR files so that we know they have clearly gone through training and everything has been covered. And that's an example of a checklist. So you can use a handful of checklists in your business for processes. Checklists are very useful because we use them, pilots use them before the flights take off, and surgeons use them before they perform surgeries. And certainly you can use checklists to ensure accountability in your business. The next component is the performance. And how do you track the performance of your business and make sure your strategies are executed and to track this execution? And there are a couple of components. So rocks are short-term goals. So every 90 days, that's a line that are aligned with your annual growth goals, with your milestones and your long-term vision. So we want to make sure our rocks are being worked on because they are priorities. So make the priorities priority, and that are rocks in different components of our business that will make an impact, make a difference in our business. So we make sure we're spending time on those high impact areas. We're not just doing busy work that doesn't make a difference and move our business forward, doesn't move needles. We need to focus on those high impactful rocks. Are we working on them on a regular basis every week during our strategic weekly tactical meetings? So you review the rocks. Are people spending enough time working on those? That's why I have meeting structures to ensure your team is aligned, and metrics that you measure on the results of your different functions. Here is an example of a weekly scorecard. Those are your leading indicators. Generally, we have leading indicators, we have lagging indicators. Your financial reports, your P&L, those are your lagging indicators. By the time you see your financial report, if you have a CPA that does that for you every 90 days, you see your P&L probably 3 or 4 months later. It's too late for you to go back and course correct when it hits your book. And even if you see it the months after, that is still probably 45 days later. So we want to track those leading indicators that we see those insights immediately so we can course correct, take actions before they hit your financials, before they hit your books. When you see your P&L, it's late to change those. And here's an example of scorecards. Of course, every business will have a set of customized weekly scorecards. What's important, what you should review. For example, business development. Are we doing enough of the business development activities so we generate enough leads and inquiries to continue to grow our business? Because you can't grow your business without adding more clients that you're serving. So if you have 20 clients and a year later you're still serving 20 clients, you're not growing your business, you're just maintaining it. And then your clients can leave for various reasons. So without a robust business development structure and adequate leads generation, you're not going to be able to grow your business. So you need to be very good at business development. If we do enough of those, we should be able to see more leads generation and coming in. Weekly service inquiries, that's your leads generation. And their goals will be different for every business, right? So 20 per week, for some might be 30 per week, some may be 5 per week. And depend on your size and depend on where you want to go, the goals are going to be different. If you have adequate leads generation and based on your conversion rate, so for example, our goal is to 5 clients each month. So based on your conversion rate, and you can calculate how many leads we need to have every month or every week to ensure that we have 5 new enrollments each month. It could be 20 enrollments. The larger business could be 50 enrollments across multiples, and that would require far coming in, so more robust business development and marketing strategy, and that these will be customized for your own business at this stage. And new client enrollment, so we got to keep track of those. And service hours per week, which are your billable hours. I like to call them serviced hours because words do matter. Service hours focus on service. We are providing service to our clients that are changing lives, much needed. So if you're always calling like a billable hours, it's kind of shift the focus to billing. And that's why I like to call service hours. If your case, an RBT productivity, server net promoter score, it's like check pulse of your clients. If you ask them, how likely are you to recommend our business to someone else who has a child with autism? Do they give you 5 stars, 4 stars, 3 stars? And also employee net promoter score. It's the same thing. If you ask, how likely are you to refer someone to work here? What score do they give you? So those are insight about your culture, your operations. Of course, every one of them has an owner of it. Who owns this number? Not the person that enters the number for you. and actually the person who owns the results. So if you don't hit the result, that person is accountable. So we need to have clear ownership of those business results. There's another example of a monthly scoreboard. So for example, your monthly quality assurance score for your clinical quality, your clinical team competency score, because our role is continue to help our RBTs to do better and better in terms of their teaching skills. So implementing those treatment plans, so we want to measure are they improving on their skills? So are they doing the best job they can with their teaching skills to help our clients and implement the treatment plan? So you may have other scorecards that you keep track of. Another component is the model of excellence, because we're in healthcare and we are changing lives. The quality of our services is your biggest competitive advantage. Parents want their kids to get better the quickest way and the shortest amount of time, right? Who can do the best job to help my child as fast as they can? So focusing on that quality is essential. And that means you have to have a system for your clinical quality assurance to ensure you deliver the best quality. Your marketing and enrollment is work, then your operations, clinical quality is do work. Now we got to focus on how to do the best work we can. And you need to have a model of excellence. And how are you tracking your client progress? We truly know, are they getting better? If they're not getting better, are we making changes and adjustments in their treatment plan timely enough? I've heard this over and over from BCBA. Some will say, my gosh, I just took over this new case. The client's on the same goals for the last 6 months and making no progress and no changes in their program. So I'm sure you heard that a lot. So that comes to a system in your organization to prevent that. Do we have a way of monitoring our client progress so that way we don't have someone working on same treatment goals for 6 months or a year and making no progress, and then we're not making any changes to help them? So you have to track those, and then compliance with different regulations, your Medicaid requirements, your funder requirements, and that is essential. So ABA industry overall has become so much more mature than before and in our compliance. So here's an example of a client progress tracking and review of a system. This is a color-coded system that was inspired by Dr. Linda LeBay's triage system. The clinical director will use that, or the school director, to review with the teachers and BCBAs on their client every 2 weeks. You can look at if the client is on track in terms of their progress, if caution, so we need to watch out, or red, that means either the client is not making any progress or regressed, that we really need to change something. So to help the client progressing. And during that review, the BCBA would have all their clients listed and ready to review under skill acquisition. And we have the definition of what means on track for this child. 6 to 8 skills mastered is considered expected. So based on each individual child. So for some kids, it may take longer for them to make progress. That is individualized per child based on their rate of learning and acquisition and how many hours are their therapy dosage, and rated on their skill acquisition, problem behaviors, and family involvement in client B. So at a glance, you're able to see, are they consistent on green? Who's on yellow? So if someone is on red, can we quickly get them back to be on green? So that way you're staying on top of your client progress, and you would have a different system probably for your quality assurance. So we have a quality assurance checklist that either the clinical director or clinical leadership can do on a quarterly basis. So whichever the cadence that you want to ensure the services are meeting your quality standards. So the next one that brings to the profit and how you actively manage your financials. So understand the benchmark and engineering, and understand the drivers of your revenue, drivers of your profit. What are those key drivers? How are we keeping track of that? I would say the financial management is probably the biggest area of weakness of all the people that I talk to. So many people are stronger in their clinical because many owners are clinicians and BCBAs, but financials is a big weak part. I've seen a lot of owners and they have no idea what their numbers are and don't know what numbers they need to pull and where to look for their numbers. So then I love coaching my owners to understand the numbers, understand the financials, to be a really savvy business owner. So if you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business. The numbers will tell a lot about your business. I've pulled data from clients' portal and different things. So let's have a follow-up meeting. And then based on just the numbers, here's what I'm sharing and diagnosing. And then the client was so, wow, more about my business than I do about my own business. So that is essential that you have KPIs that really tells you about your operations, your financial drivers, your profit drivers, and to help you make those day-to-day decisions in how to run your business to be sustainable. I was on a phone call with another business owner a couple of months ago, so some suggestion based on what you're telling me. Probably about 2 months later, she sent me an email and said, thank you so much for sharing that with me. I did do what you told me. What a difference it made in my finance. So because she was struggling with making payroll. And that makes me very happy to hear that outcome and result. Okay, so I've covered the components. Here's like a illustration of what that road might look like, your journey to the pinnacle and to the top of your business mountain. So you identify, where do you want to go? What is the top? Which summit, which mountain that you're climbing, right? And then you make your plans. So every year, like this, these are your annual growth goals. So you climb year after year to the top. And then you implement every 90 days. So every quarter at a time. So those little kind of outlooks. So it's like the little summits or outlooks so that every quarter that you get to, you take a breather, look back how far that we have come, and then strategize where do we need to go in the next 90 days. So that will get us to here. So with consistency, you will get to the top of your mountain with the right team, right people on your team. They're in the right seats and aligned around your goals. And usually in the beginning, so that's people who start at the bottom. We call that base camp. Clients that I work with, during base camp, we'll be introducing some key business tools and to get them started. And then we climb your mountains every 90 days in closing. So it is not an easy journey, and being a business owner is not easy. If it were easy, everyone would be owning a business. So think about that. Your road is going to be difficult. It is expected. But in the end, if you keep climbing, every mountain is reachable if you just keep climbing. Like the movie Finding Nemo, just keep swimming. Here is just keep climbing, and you will get to the top. And the view is incredible. And you get to the top that few people are able to get and to reach. And I have at the end, go with a guide that will make your climb a little easier and get you to the top a little faster. Here's my end of my pitch here. How can we help at Value Fusion and Core Action Consulting? And we can help with the business coaching and consulting and strengthening those components of your business, help you create a customized business operating system. And then we also help with the financial operations advisory. So get you the insight of your business. So the financial KPIs, so not the same as what your CPA would give you. So the industry specific KPIs, so you can understand the drivers of your business and give you advice on how to make those day-to-day decisions to shift your numbers in a way that will create sustainable profitability. And then we help with the exit planning and to maximize value for successful transition and M&A advisory. So we work with business owners in finding the right buyers and sell their business so they can go on to their next chapter. And thank you for your time and attention. And that concludes the presentation. If we have time for some questions, if people have questions, so I'm happy to stay on for a few more minutes.
Awesome. Jing, I had a couple of things to sprinkle in there. First of all, the fact that you mentioned Michael Gerber, it's so aligned. I had an experience as a business owner about 13 years ago. I actually had a medical issue that I thought was very serious, ended up not being serious, but I looked in the eye and rethought my whole life and all the time that I was spending on my business. And I knew what to do. I just wasn't doing it. The concepts that we know in the back of our head, I think there's a part of us that know when our phone is blowing up and we're running around like a chicken with our head cut off, and we might even be making less money than we used to when we were working at our old job, and things are just, it's not right deep in your mind and in your soul. This is not how life is supposed to be. And most of it comes back to exactly what you talked about today, Jing. I continued to operate, but I disappeared myself for a month back in 2011, I think it was. And I was 28 years old. I was pretty deep into a very successful business, but it was ruling me and I wasn't ruling it. And I knew what to do. I just needed to take the time to sit down and start going through my process and figuring out how to systemize things. And I used the E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber as my guide. And I read it every year, at least, and sometimes more than once a year. It's on my audiobook list that I listen to, but just understanding how making cakes in a bakery that is where your business is making cakes, understanding how it doesn't matter if you're doing oil changes on cars, if you're building airplanes, if you're selling seashells by the seashore, every business must have systems. Otherwise, it's just a job you can't quit. And I'm really glad to hear another perspective on it at another angle. This is more than just making your business valuable so you can sell it. It's making your business desirable.
Right.
If you don't want it, no one else does.
Exactly. I love what you said. If you don't want it, no one else does. And a lot of times business owners will come to me is, I want to sell my business. The reason is because of the exhaustion, because of the burnout. So they just don't want to be an owner anymore. So they are burned out. So that's where if you don't want your business, who else will want your business? If you're not excited about going to work and running your business, would other people be excited about that? And we've got some work to do, right? Once you put the right work in and have a system, you will be excited about running your business. You'll be excited about going to work every day. So looking back how far you have come, and you'll be, wow. So I'm very proud of what we have accomplished and along the way. So that's when you can decide if you're on your terms. Do I exit or do you continue growing? So that is truly when you're kind of making the decision on your own terms. So having that system not only make your job and your life easier now, it will benefit you long term. So that is exactly how I experienced in my business. And first, I feel like the business was running me instead of I was running the business. And I was in control. I don't feel like I was in the driver's seat. I feel like I was just like a hamster on the wheel, kept going. I was dragged behind something that I couldn't even stop. And until we implemented the system, and finally I felt like I was in the driver's seat, I was in control. And as a result, it did significantly improve the value of the business. The business was able to run without me. I was able to spend my time and doing things that I really enjoy in the business. I didn't enjoy every piece or part of my business. There are some aspects of the business I really enjoy doing, but before I had to take care of everything.
Yeah.
until we implement the system, I was able to spend time on the aspects of the business that I really enjoy, that I'm passionate about. So I can't imagine not doing that.
Yeah, and that same business that almost killed me, or I thought almost killed me in 2011, is now the business that I spend somewhere between 10 and 20% of my time on. It every now and then a flare up occurs. Owning a business is a stressful experience no matter what. You're always
Mm,
going to have this heavy burden of responsibility that you're carrying. As long as it's yours, you own it, you're
right.
responsible. That's a big responsibility no matter what. But
Mm,
the fact that people see me on ABA Impact and the Odyssey and on our Facebook group, and this is where I am all the time, 80 to 90% of the time, this is where I am because I actually enjoy this. We make $0 from this, but I have another business that provides my lifestyle, my income, and all that. And I really don't have to be there a whole lot. The two are interconnected with some of the services that we provide, but being able to step away and really do the things that you enjoy, like that is ultimate freedom. That is the freedom that you earn
mhm.
building your business. You can start a company, you can be an owner. That takes about 30 minutes and about $150 on your Secretary of State website for your state. But then you're a business owner, you have to build it. And if you just start working, you just start operating and hiring people and bringing them in, you're just making yourself a really big job. And the bigger that job gets, the more stressful it's going to be. I have been there and I have known what I was supposed to do, not taking it seriously. In your late 20s, you think you just have it all together. And I've gone down that road. I think the most important thing is just making a little bit of progress and just having those good habits, just having something in your business forward. And today in the Odyssey, on this Thursday's call, we're just talking about just pick 3 things that you can do to drive yourself toward your strategic objective, whatever that goal is, that mountaintop for your business, right? Let's pick 3 things.
Mhm.
Let's bang them out. We don't have to do a perfect job. Get something done in those areas to move your business forward. And let's talk about it next Thursday, right? Just find something positive and do it, right? That's really it. And some of those things that you could do, our foundation course, it's free. The Odyssey is super cheap. We were just talking about that. The link is in the chat. Call Jing, talk to Jing about where your business is and what you can do to start that journey. And there's a lot of things in your business that you're going to develop as a long-term plan. And this is one of them because, like Jing said, this is not an easy thing to do. It's not intuitive and it's not simple. But having
Mhm.
somebody like Jing in your contacts on your phone or in your email that you can run things by and talk to or bring in to do consulting and really look at your systems and help you zoom in on those areas. That's the kind of thing that you invest into your business and it stays. That's a
Mhm.
long lasting, long ROI, long pay you back investment that you can put into your business. So if this isn't something you're already working on, put your organizational strategy, your business operating system on the list and reach out to Jing, do the course, get on the Facebook group and talk to people about what they're doing in their areas and divide and conquer. Pick one thing and start making progress in it. And be surprised how motivated you get when you actually start moving your business in the right direction. It's
Right.
almost addicting. SOP writing doesn't seem like it's a fun thing to do. Making checklists doesn't seem like it's a fun thing to do. But I'll tell you what
Mhm.
is fun, looking at your collection, your library, your source of truth, and knowing all the
Mhm.
documentation that you have and that your gaps are this big instead of this big now and making that kind of progress. That is fun.
Yeah. And nowadays, with the assistance of AI, so developing some processes is easier than ever. So you can write down your thoughts and what you want and what the steps. It'll spit out a fairly decent SOP and policy for you. So you just have to make some customization, some changes, and there really is no excuse so that I don't have time to do it. And then part of that is also think about who and not how. And you don't have to be the one that document all your processes and have your employees, your team get into the habit. So whatever role they are, it is their job to document how they do the job. If you have an intake specialist, that would be part of the intake specialist's job to document the intake process. So, what is step 1, 2, 3 when we onboard a new client. So when we establish services for a new client, what are the steps that we go through? So you may have to schedule, you may have to get the BCBAs to go with the RBTs on their first session. So if that's part of your process, you just need to make sure all of the people are communicated on the same page and document those. So that way, if this person ever leaves, the next person comes in can quickly be trained up and to learn the process.
Yeah, and that's the good place for your team in general should be giving you that feedback. Your system, once you've established the baseline for it, once you've established I call it your system, right? Once you establish the way that your system grows and evolves, your team should be participating in that process. And really, this is where you get the value out of your unicorns, we call them, right? Those rock star employees that are just amazing. And they just have a certain way about them where they really bring your business to the next level. They move on. And I saw somebody on the Facebook group this past week made the statement, happy employees don't leave. That's not true. Happy employees leave. And we have a good example when we're going through the Blueprint series. I use Michael as an example. Of course, we changed the name. Michael had one of those employees who was extremely happy. I'm talking spending holiday dinners together like they were entwined. She was family to him. And they're in Texas, and her name's Judy. And Judy was the clinical director, helped him running the one location. He had a second location. Everything's beautiful. And Judy ran everything from supervising the billing to the operations, the clinical model, but she's a single mom. And her son graduates from high school, gets accepted into the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs. And guess what? Judy ain't letting him move a couple thousand miles across the country and being away from him. And she left. So happy employees do leave. But if you're in a position where you have a system and those people are contributing to the system and growing it, and they have a place to get what's in their head and contribute that to your system, that's really the most highly evolved, most mature companies out there. That's really how they work. And it's important because you don't want a situation where every time somebody leaves, they're taking a part of your company's brain with them.
Exactly.
If you're not paying attention to this, call Jing, get into the Odyssey, do these things and start paying attention to this part of your business because it is your business. Jing, thank you once again. This is the perfect bow on your 3-part series. I really appreciate you doing this with us.
Thank you very much. I really had fun, enjoy the process of doing the webinars to share the knowledge. So if anybody wants to reach out, feel free to reach out. I talk to business owners all the time.
Awesome. Thank you very much. We thank you everybody for attending, and we'll see you on the group. We love you guys. Thank you, Jing.
All right. Bye. Thank you, everyone.
You're already doing the work, investing your time, your energy, and your vision. So let's make it count. Build something that works without breaking you. The BCBA Blueprint is the way. Get started for free with our foundation course.